Welcome to the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with me, your host, Goat for Real 216. This is the podcast where we talk about all things car business related and some other stuff. We don't know much about much. You're not going to get anything fake. You're going to get real car content from real car people, successful car people. We're going to answer questions for you about the car business, anything car related, without you even having to ask, because we're just that good. If you like this podcast, like, share, subscribe. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. I don't care how you get it out there. Just put it out there. It's me, Goat for Real 216. You already know how it's going to be on here. And as always, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Credit Saint. Enjoy the show. Are you tired of being held back by bad credit? With Credit Saint, you can take control of your financial future and unlock the doors to better opportunities. Join the community of satisfied clients with over 14,000 five-star Google reviews and experience personalized credit repair services that help you rebuild your credit score and achieve your dreams. Call 855-279-6799. That is 855-279-6799. Credit Saint will get you on the road to financial freedom. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow, subscribe. Follow me on social, Go For Real 216. And again, I'd like to take a second to say thank you for spending time with us on the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with me, Go For Real 216. Subscribe now. It's the coolest thing on the planet. We are back here at the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast. I think you guys know who I am, Go For Real 216 on social media. This is the podcast where car guys get together and we talk real talk. I want to start out really quickly by acknowledging our sponsor. Are you tired of being held back by bad credit? With Credit Saint, you can take control of your financial future and unlock the doors to better opportunities. Join the community of satisfied clients, over 14,000 five-star Google reviews, which you can't fake 14,000, by the way, and experience personalized credit repair services that help you build your credit score and achieve your dreams. Call 855-279-6799. One more time, 855-279-6799. Credit Saint will get you on the road to financial freedom. I have one of my favorite people in the social media and car world with me here today. His name is Yusuf. You want to say hello, Yusuf?
Hello, everybody.
And
hey Sean, how are you?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just a little precursor. Yusuf and I have connected about a year ago through social media, and I have come to really appreciate his insight on social and the car business in general. So, when you meet a kindred spirit, you try to hold on to that relationship and see where it goes. So I want to welcome Yusuf. Thanks for coming on here. Hey, thanks for putting up with my technical difficulties, bro. I'm old, but you can see it in the beard. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's all good. And, I appreciate the very warm welcome and greeting and introduction. That means a lot coming from, you. So I say the same about Sean, his insights, his knowledge, and just trying to benefit the consumer and make people better. Doesn't matter. Does not have to do with car sales. So I appreciate that, Sean. That means a lot.
And we'll get started on the list of questions, but you bring up a good point. I think that a lot of people, and one of the things that always comes up in this podcast, so we're going to just touch on it now, and I think you're a good person to give input on this, the stigma, of car salespeople and in general, you're a car dealer, you're this or that, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Really, if you're a car salesperson out there, Yusuf, help me explain. You can be a great car dealer just by being a good person. You don't have to, live up to the stigma that's out there. For you personally, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you've been able to overcome that, because you're very much viewed as a dealer first, but you are also, you side on the consumer advocate side sometimes. I see you looking out for people. How do you navigate those waters?
Absolutely. So navigating the stigma is definitely difficult because, when you kind of advocate for the consumer, there are still people that are very polarized about, car salespeople, dealerships, they're ripping people off. I got a, high interest loan. I paid $20,000 over for this car. So I think for me to navigate it, it's so interesting to see that honesty probably trumps the stigma about getting a one and done or just trying to make as much money as possible on that one deal. And I believe that, by me showcasing that, I was going to have this image that you can help people, give them the knowledge they need, and still make money. And I think this is a testament to you Doug, me, and many other content creators that sort of advocate for the same exact sort of mentality that like not everybody has to be under the wing of just, oh, I don't know, or ignorance. And I think because of creators like us, there have been so much information that people can propagate into their lives and help them make better decisions for themselves. So help that navigating that hasn't been difficult. I've received a lot of positivity. I've received a lot of good feedback. And I would argue that the honesty, the integrity that a lot of us sort of are preaching right now, and just being very bold and giving behind the scenes has given me more business and more opportunities than, me boasting that I made $10,000 on this car deal. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, those are fun though too. I'll be honest with you. I like those are fun though too. As a car dealer, obviously, we still get excited about car deals and profit and whatnot. But
absolutely.
your point is valid. You can do that in a transparent manner and not live up to the stigma, right? You don't have to be that guy.
Absolutely. And I think, and I say this all the time, at the end of the day, the powers within the consumer. I do get a lot of people saying, the dealership screwed me over. That I will agree. Some dealers got greedy. Some dealers, sort of took advantage of people that don't have the knowledge. Some dealers,
Yeah.
they're doing their job as salespeople. They sold you on this dream, on this deal, and unfortunately, when people get the bad end of the stick, they want to blame and point fingers, and I don't agree with that. Nobody put a guns to anybody's head, or they've threatened their life to sign to sign for a vehicle. And I think at the same time, like with the amount of information that's out here, we're able to make those decisions and put ourselves in better situations. So I get a lot of comments saying, "Oh, it's the dealership's fault." It's not. I didn't force you to sign this deal. You saw, the bill of sale, the truth in lending form. You saw the vehicle price. It's your expectation. You walked in, you're going to get a brand new car for half the price. It doesn't work that way. And that's one stigma I will never get over, Sean. Everybody thinks we make like $30,000 off each car. I wish. Oh my God, what? Um, yeah,
Yeah. I wish more dealers, I do wish that's interesting. I wish more dealers would give a little more information about individual deals. Like it's okay, you don't have to post exactly, it's a private business. You don't have to post what you make on every single car deal. But I wish that people, I guess, did understand more. Like it's nothing for a dealer to buy a car, sell it 7 days later, and only make 600-700 bucks. If the market shifts or the book drops on the car, or you're just uncomfortable with the buy, you just want to move it. Maybe it was a buy that you weren't really sure of or whatever, but a lot of people, like to your point, think that you make 5, 6, 7 grand a car. Now, during COVID, during chip shortage, not out of the realm, right? That was a real
right,
thing. But
right.
today, I mean, what would you say the average car deal is for the average dealer? You said front and back, meaning front profit and finance profit. I mean, what do you think the average car deal is? I mean, tell me what you think.
So as an independent dealer, I can't really talk about back end profit just because like we don't have that plane yet. And most
Yeah,
franchise dealers sort of expound on that business model than independent dealers. So I focus mainly on the front. I mean, we do between 20 to 30%. If I'm lucky, I'll get, 35
yeah,
percent. So it average out to be between two to $4,500 a car.
that's what you
And
think. Yeah,
Yep, and that's what it is. And I think a lot of people understand it's not a situation where, look, Sean, there's two different types of dealers, car sales people, whatever you want to call it, in this industry. It's either you work the customer so well that you got the trade-in value so good and you make a 10 pounder or $10,000 on the deal, like you bought a trade under 10 grand underneath market, you sold it to a customer at market and you made 10,000. There's nothing wrong with that. You worked the customer, you did your job, and not only that, you sold that car to another customer at fair market price. Now
right.
there's another group of people that will take the fair market value and elevate it 5 grand and leverage their connection with the bank and add back end, add some sort of service contract. So those are the type of dealers that I know me and you don't really advocate for, and we trying to break the mold to let people know, like, hey, you have the ability to negotiate, have the ability to walk away. So yeah, I mean, it like back to your question, it really averages out to about 20 to 30% after everything's paid.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the average car deal. And it's that's not when you look at it like an investor. So let's call it what it is. A car is nothing but an asset, right? So it's an asset that you buy, to try to turn an investment profit on it. So if you spend $30,000 on a car and and you make 3,000, I mean, that's only a 10% return on that money, but you don't know when that return's coming. I mean, that return could come in 2 days. It might come in 60 days, at which point you're not going to make that much. So, the public thinks, oh, they made 3 grand. Yeah, but I took $30,000 of my money, and you know what I'm saying? I put it out there, and I took a gamble on this car. Now, maybe I made 10% on this, but what about the 5 cars that I lost on? What about when the car got here and it needed a transmission? What about the customer that bought it and had a problem with it, and I had to cut them a check back for 1,000 or 15 or 500 or whatever the number is? So, it's such a variable. It makes it tough to be an independent dealer today. And you and I have had some conversations. I would consider you a successful independent dealer, but it is tougher than it's ever been. Do you think this is the toughest time that we've seen to be a dealer?
I appreciate the fact that you feel as I'm successful. There's still a lot of room to grow. It's still about 2 years in. So I would say I'm doing well. I'm not exactly where I need to be. So yeah, I think being an independent car dealer, you're married to the deal and have so many other verticals and variables you have to be tied to rather than a franchise dealership where everything's compartmentalized between, your funnel for sales, finance, and then your service. So they're all three separate. And in those little separate compartments, you have everybody doing their job. For me, I'm the mechanic. I'm the person that goes to the auction. I'm the one that deals with finance. I'm the one that helps deal with title work. I'm the one that helps deal with leads, educating people on credit. And now obviously with this new social media, kind of making time for that too. So it does spread you thin.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to right now, a lot of people ask me, should I open up a dealership? I tell people all the time, it's so much competition now, Sean, and the barrier of entry to becoming a dealer is low. You just got to get your license, get a surety bond, have a place, and that's pretty much it. And that doesn't necessarily mean because people are going out to be a car dealer are going to be successful. A lot of people don't really think about like, how we can buy cars now from the auction. But what's your exit strategy? You don't have any finance companies. You're sitting with a car. If anything, like you said, you have 30,000 of your own money. Typically, it takes 45 to 60 days to sell a car. If I'm waiting 2 months to get back 3,000, does it really make sense, right? So
Right.
I think, like you said, it is definitely a different animal being an independent dealer. And right now, I would tell people if you are thinking of becoming a car dealer, be niche or focus on wholesale because I think right now across the whole spectrum. I think everybody, whether you're franchise independent, vehicle acquisition has been very difficult, whether it be condition, vehicle price, or just even like market sentiment. It's just weird. You'll buy a car that's hot one day, next day it will sit for 4 months. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So, and I want to get into you here in a minute, but, you know, I'm a big believer, and tell me how you feel about this. What are you, what plans do you have, or how are you currently implementing private owner acquisition into your acquisition strategy?
Very much so. I still think when it comes to private vehicle acquisition or buying it from consumers, people own they value their car of what they value at, and when we come in with Carfax wholesale value MMR or just plug in V Auto and see laser appraiser and just kind of see what the market is going for at wholesale auction, there's a big discrepancy. So there's a battle to be fought when it comes to, hey Yusuf, I love your channel, or hey Sean, I love your channel, I have a 2020 Nissan Altima I want to sell to you, I owe 15 on it, the value may be, I don't know, maybe 13, and they want 20 for it. And I think that's one of the hurdles with buying private. But to be honest, it's a great strategy. I bought many vehicles that I feel as if I got a great deal on and I made really good profits. So I think that's an excellent strategy. And I think anybody who has a social media following, or even if you don't, start and use that and funnel people from the outside rather than trying to go to the auction and just sticking to that
Uh,
as your only channel as vehicle acquisition.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. So give me a little bit of, there's some people that are going to want to get to know you. I mean, you put yourself out there on social in a pretty transparent way. But how'd you get to where you're at today? Tell me about your journey. I mean, give me a little background.
Absolutely. I was in Miami. I had a software startup company. I had some things happen personally in my life. Company didn't do well, so I decided to, branch back out to some of my connections. And for me, it was 10 steps back to go back to where I grew up. I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then I started doing food reviews, and then I had an opportunity to join in on a dealership called Rose Auto Sales, which is owned by Nick and Mo, and they gave me an opportunity to essentially they had cars sitting, so I would fix their cars, that they weren't interested in fixing. Like I'm talking about old BMWs, new BMWs, older Mercedes and whatnot. And then I would split the profits with them 50-50. Then I had the opportunity to open up Charlotte Auto Center with them, so I went up with them. And then from there, that's when everything took off after my food reviews. Everybody thinks I started out being a car dealer. If you look at my first earlier videos, dude, I was blowing up being food review, but that wasn't good for my weight. So I transitioned into more vehicle stuff. And Sean, I preach the transparency because, dude, I've been there. I didn't grow up having a lot. So like when I had the opportunity to get a BMW M3 when I was 21 at 22% and had it repoed 7 months later, that was me. And I was the one who kept doing that same situation. I would get myself in the same situation financially where I'd over leverage myself 100%. So I'm telling people it's not worth it. I've been there. I drive nice cars. I do these things. And once you get it, it's just there. It's just what's next.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a nutshell what happened, man. And then TikTok blew up and a lot of people really resonated with the message I was giving. And especially you, I mean, Sean, you're one of my biggest inspirations too, kind of giving that transparent information. Recording people like, hey, man, you got to be more realistic. You're not getting this car with the 550 credit score. Go to fix your credit, instead of putting a down payment with this car and just think better. And, that's where I really respect your platform.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Yeah, so that's some good history about you that I don't think everybody would guess, or know, because you don't look like you eat too much. You're in shape. You're always looking jacked. You know what I mean?
I look Jack, but let me this is just from top up, right? So
Yeah, I know. No, none of us shoot like the whole body. You know what I
I
mean?
know, right? Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest challenge so far? As far as whether it's in the social media world, in the car world, just personally, what has been your biggest challenge?
Time, Sean. I think, and I had this conversation with you. It's a lot. I think what people don't see off camera, they just see the Audis that I film or a nice car at the repo lot, just shooting the crap around. And it's not. I mean, I'm up at, 6 a.m. Typically, like, I'm big on like prayer. So I'm Muslim. So we pray Fajr at 6 a.m. or, right before, sunrise. And then I'm out the door. And then I don't know, you work in the dealership, you look down, it's 5 p.m. and you still have deals in front of you. You look again, it's 9 p.m. Implementing social media, and then just kind of making sure every vertical within your business is doing well, marketing, sales, service, the vehicles you bought, do we need to arbitrate? So my biggest hurdle right now is time management, Sean. And I can only be one person. And we had this conversation before this podcast, and it's just
Yeah.
that's my biggest hurdle right now, Sean, is prioritizing how I'm going to move forward, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember the feeling of just wishing that you could just split yourself in half or three, because no one cares about your business like you, right? I mean, so, and it's tough to find people that are passionate about somebody else's business today, because guess what? Anybody can go start a business of some sort, with all the tools that are out there now, AI and everything else. I mean, you can decide, I want to start a widget business, and literally you can jump on chat gpt and learn how to start a widget business. So it's hard to find people who are more passionate about your business, than they used to be, because they can just go start their own thing. They're like, wait a second, I can do that now. Whether or not they're successful is two different things. But so
Right.
what trends are you seeing right now in the car business that people need to be aware of? If you could make some people, what trends or changes do you see coming down the pike?
I just essentially just more transparency and just educate yourself. I think the trend I'm still seeing is people still putting themselves in the position that they are in, they can't get out of, whether it be negative equity, whether or not not understanding that when you buy a car and you finance it, interest is on the front end, so you're not really paying down the principal unless you pay two times the payment. It's all like a system, especially for people that have challenge profiles that just set themselves up for failure. Just lower expectation, buy a cash car. Sean, what was your car? My car was a 1993 Honda Civic that I drove with like 400,000 miles that I got for like $1,500. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like we grew up differently, and I'm only 32 or 31 years old, so I don't know. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't get the mindset.
Yeah, well, even my first car, I when we go if that's what we're talking about. My first car was this thing was a panty dropper. I mean, what a babe magnet. I mean, dude, we're talking about a 1984, 1982, 80s Plymouth Champ. Do you even remember them? You know what? Okay, so do you remember the little Dodge Colt?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
So the Plymouth
Okay.
Champ, it was about the size of a Yugo. I mean, it was a Plymouth Champ. And here's the funny story, and then we'll get back to you. But my mom takes me to this house, like in the hood, And we go in, we meet this person or whatever, and we walk back out, and she's like, "Hey, do you like that car?" I'm 16 years old. I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." She's like, "It's yours. Take it." I'm like, "Okay, So $50. She paid
Yeah.
this like $50 for this car. And two quick things about it. First of all, it was like the Fred Flintstone mobile, bro. Like you could see through the floorboards. I am not playing. Like it was unsafe as all get out. You could see
Yeah.
through the floorboard. The best part about it is I get it right now. I had just got my license. I get in the car. It's a stick shift. My mom says, "You want the car? Figure out to get it home." I learned how to drive a stick shift on the way home. I literally, I mean, like I was like, okay, you know what I mean, and like
Right.
I just figured it out. So yeah, $50 Plymouth Champ, and I'll tell you what, boy, there was a lot of young ladies got used to the back seat in that Plymouth Champ.
Is that what they call it? The goat, Sean?
Probably like one or two, but to me, I thought it was a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries.
so what I mean, you've told me about like some of your challenges with the dealership and the time constraints and everything else. So when you wake up in the morning, what starts your motor? I mean, what keeps you going?
My family, the ability to be in this position. To be honest, like I've been in positions where like what I'm gonna do for rent, and to be honest, like I'm the type of person that I know for how to get it done, right? I put my nose to the ground and get it. I'm out there. But and then also it's just a situation where like everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be financially stable and rich. And for me, when you get a taste of like making 2 grand, 3 grand off a couple, three, 4 cars in a month, you're like, oh, I want more. So there's that inherent nature that people have to like just continuing the growth and not really focusing on whether or not it's going to be good growth or bad growth. And I think that's where I'm at right now to figure out whether is it better for me to stick back, advocate for consumers, and just kind of do a little bit at a time, or continue full blast and then still manage. And I think that's the destruction. That's the destructive part of where we face. I'm sure you have the same thing, Sean. You're very popular as well. I'm sure you get notoriety everywhere you go. So just a situation like, what do I focus on? What's better for me? Is it better to put my head to the ground and just do 1, 2 videos, or is it better for me to
Yeah.
continue and advocate for consumers and businesses to change their practices and let people get the knowledge they need to make better decisions for themselves? So I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, I know you're I figured that was the answer. You're a family. I know you're a family guy. So, when times are tough, when you're second guessing your direction or your decisions or whatever, for me, I always go back to my kids and my family. And for me, it's about my moves are made by what's my legacy going to be. I always say this and, talk about family, then we'll move on. Why do you do the things you do? Why do you take these chances? Or why are you friendly with that person? Or why'd you do this? Or why'd you do that? Because for me, it's about legacy. All I care about is there's going to be a day where I'm not walking this planet anymore. And somebody's going to meet one of my children, somebody that I knew, or whatever. And, to me, the most important thing is, when they say, oh, your last name's Payne, you mean Sean Payne? And they say, yeah, that's my dad. What is that person going to say to my kid about me? They are because they're either going to say, "Oh wow, okay, how was that?" Or they're going to say, "Man, that was a good dude. He helped me with this. He helped me with this." And so everything I do today, and I think you're of the same vein, is what are people? What's your legacy going to be? So to that's I think a big motivator for a lot of us too, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
So we know what keeps you going. Your family. Um, you got a funny story, a favorite story about being in the car business? Not to put you on the spot, but I mean, is there a story that's always going to resonate with you that you tell people about? Holy cow, this is what being a car dealer is like. This happened.
I mean, the most recent one is when I was in Charlotte. Uh, there was an older gentleman who was taking care of his old elderly mom, and he would come by. I'm telling you, Sean, like every day, and just hang out with me or Maria or Annabelle. They're the amazing salespeople over at Charlotte Auto Center. And he would just look at one car at a time. He'd look at a Honda Odyssey. He'd look at the Jeep Cherokee. He'd look at this. He'd look at that. I think like a month and a half passes by. He made his decision. He's like, all right, I'm gonna buy the Honda Odyssey. All right, cool, miss. He goes to the
Yeah.
bank, gets a check, buys it. Yo, Sean, an hour later, he wants to swap it out for the Jeep Cherokee. And then an hour, and then a day later, he swapped it. So like literally and I felt bad for him. I'm like, yo, like, typically we don't do this type of stuff, but if it
Yeah.
was for you and I see him bringing his mom out, and I think we exchanged like two or three cars when he finally were like, listen, make sure this is the last one, because all he would say is too high for my mom. My mom doesn't like it because, it
Sure.
doesn't fit her. But anyways, long story short, that's what it's like being a car dealer. Like it's just stuff like that you don't expect, especially being an independent car dealer. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just a story that stuck with me recently. The other stories are self-explanatory. You've seen my
Oh
post,
yeah.
Sean. I mean, people
Yeah.
popping up. Literally, people pop up to the dealership with like $500. Be like, Yusuf, please help me. Got a
Yeah.
500 credit score. I'm like, I can't help you. I'm not gonna go bankrupt for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you certainly can't have the Bentley. You know what I mean? No, that's a good story because I tell you, I those are the ones I remember too. It's like kind of the meaningful one where like you had an opportunity to be a good person or help or do something, and it changed. These people buying this car, to us, it's no big deal, right? We do it all day long. Sold the thousands and thousands of cars in my life, but this is once every 3, 5, 10 years for some of these people. So those are the ones that stick out for me too. The opportunities where you had a chance to affect somebody's life on such a big deal like a purchase of a car, and you do the right thing. And those are relationships that you end up making, and sometimes they last forever, and those people buy the next 5 or 10 cars from you.
For sure.
But doing the right thing can be a profitable thing as well as helping you sleep at night. So who are your, it puts you this way: you could have dinner with 3 people, alive or unalive. You could have dinner with 3 people. You got 3 people that you would say these are my 3.
I'm going to have dinner with you, Sean. You still haven't come down to Atlanta, so that's one.
I got to get down there, dude. I want to
Yeah.
Atlanta. I mean, I hate it here. I hate it here. I hate the weather. I hate the weather. You know what I mean?
Atlanta's cold too, Sean. It's like I don't know, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. I don't know what's that it's up like up there, but I'm just saying that's cold to
Oh,
me.
stop. You were in Miami, now Atlanta. You're talking about it's cold, buddy. Yeah, we'll no, we'll definitely get together. But I mean, do you have I guess what you would say? Do you have
To be honest, Sean, I really don't, man. I don't have people like, oh, I need to have dinner with them, because like I think just like you and everybody else, everybody loves to believe we're self-made, but we're not. I mean, without the support of our followers or the support of the platforms that we have, we wouldn't be where we are. So I think it's been a effort collaboratively from everybody to help us propagate to where we are. And just to expound on the last thing, Sean, about being a good person, whether it be you're a realtor, a car dealer, whatnot. Sean, like, we video ourselves doing the right thing sometimes, right? Like, for instance, I had a Kia that the motor blew, and then her parents bought her the car. They're like, 10 hours away. And I felt bad. I'm like, you know what? Let me just change the motor. It was like a 4 grand thing. So end up losing like, $3,500 on this deal. But I want people to understand there are still car dealers that go above and beyond for their customers. And I think, negativity spreads faster than any good story, man. And I know you know this more than anybody. As soon as somebody says I get ripped off from a car dealer, just look at our videos. We say scam, or we say don't, or we say, bad car market, it blows up. But if we say, hey, this car dealer went above and beyond, so there are still car dealers that I know that aren't, on social media, that aren't trying to do the public thing. And, they're honest people, and they don't get recognized for that. So I appreciate the people that are being honest without having the camera on them. But back to the point about 3 people, man. I mean, I really admire my dad and my mom, hardest working parents ever. I don't have anybody that I want to eat dinner with, man, other than you, or some other. But that's about it, man. I really don't. Like, it's a situation where I guess everybody who has made some change in somebody's life, I'd be open to having sort
yeah.
of a discussion with them. So
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing, having your parents as the top, as the top of the food chain for you, because I come from a little bit of a different situation, you know what I mean? Never met my dad. Mom and I kind of a tumultuous relationship. Love her to death.
right.
I was believe me, yeah, she was a single mom raising a very um opinionated young man. You know what I mean? So it was I'm sure it was no cup of tea for her. Uh,
Right.
I'm happy for you that you have that with your parents, bro. That's super important, and I think that having that allows you to think in a little bit more of a consistent way according to how they would want you to act. If you recognize them as your idols, you're going to kind of, almost subconsciously act in the way that they do, and that's going to reflect on you being maybe a better person. So, what's up next for you? I mean, I know about the challenge with the dealership. I mean, do you know what's next? Are you in a phase where you're looking, you're looking at which way to go? I mean, what's next? What's on the agenda?
So I'm definitely going to continue social media, and the reason why I do that is, Sean, you grew up in Ohio, and for me, I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. Lived there till I was like 9. Not really. There wasn't really much Norfolk, Virginia, other than going to the beach. There's a specific Dairy Queen on the boardwalk everybody would go to, and then if you ever drove Military Highway, that's the deadliest highway when it comes to potholes. Uh, Other than that, I mean, for me, I'm still working on my software startup. It's going to be called Carlay. It's just it's a software startup that allows consumers and businesses to have a more transparent car buying experience, car selling experience.
Okay.
I see the repetitive, issue, and I'm developing a product that can solve that and be really a game changer, a solution to the car market. So I'm really excited about that. It just takes a lot of uplift, I guess, and it's not a situation where it's as easy as like just launching it. There's so many things I have to worry about, so many developmental issues that may come of like having, it's different when me and you because we have so many followers. So like if I have 100,000 people sign up, I want
Yeah.
to make sure it's ready for that.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, I'm at this pivotal point whether or not I'm going to continue to have like a 3, 4, 5 car dealership franchise being an independent, or do I just focus on this one right here, get it to a good steady pace, and continue social media and advocate? It's That's where I'm at right now, Sean. So hopefully I get some clarity soon.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that we're all fluid. One thing about, you know, guys like ourselves in the car business, um, on a daily basis or, on the fringe basis, whatever, but also doing social. One thing it does is it gives you options. At one point you're looking at it like, I don't know what I want to do. This is so hard doing this with this, and then the other. But what a blessed option to have. Like, hey, if I want to, I can not be in the car business anymore, and I can just make videos, and I could probably feed my family and not go backwards, and maybe become wealthy or maybe not, but you could definitely survive. With the following that you have for sure. You could do nothing but shoot TikTok videos, be informative, be a talking head, educate people, and work from home in your basement like I'm doing right now. I don't know if I'll ever go back to a dealership if the right thing comes along. I'm not going to say never, but um, we have options. And so in the same way that it's a negative because it pulls at you so much. I got to do this. I got to post. I got to do this. Sean wants me to do a podcast. I got to get to the dealership. I got customer, what a great option, because without social, what would we have? Well, I mean, for me, I'm in a dealership. If there was no social media, I would be in a dealership 50, 60 hours a week. And I would be happy doing it, but I wouldn't know about this option. So, I think we need to count our blessings. And certainly you're one of those guys. You have options. You know what I mean? You're not stuck in anything, especially with your knowledge of the techie side and everything that you do know. And you've taught me a lot. So I for one feel blessed. So, I hope that while you're in this decision stage, that you'll also, look up and say, man, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have decisions. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't. Some guys are stuck in a dealership, Yusuf.
No, you're right. You're right.
What would you
And
say to somebody who, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want
no,
to
you're
make,
good.
what would you say to somebody who is in the car business and wants to become the next Yusuf, ride with Yusuf on social?
I as much as I would admire that, I think the being having your individualistic like approach towards social media is what makes people famous, or they have their little niche that they go off of. So being the next ride with Yusuf really wouldn't be anything special, because right now I'm just repeating honesty, and people can do that in their own way, right? So I tell people that ask me these questions all the time, Yusuf, how can be the best car salespeople? Sean, like, I mean, you do trainings, and I admire your shift in the game, and I think you'll do amazing because your knowledge across the board, whether it be from sales or finance or F&I or anything. Any dealership that hires you is going to benefit tremendously. And, not even that, like long term, they would probably 100x whatever they got coming in. So I'm wishing you very, very well on that, Sean. And I think I tell people all the time, like, it's crazy, Sean, how many car salespeople don't know their product. They don't know what a V6 is or V4 is, or there's and so I tell people, number one, know your product, be honest, and I'm telling you, people will buy from you. Like, if you're too pushy or too like, people can smell that, and then unfortunately, it's not a good game. So if you want to be the next Raul Yusuf, just be honest, and there's nothing wrong with you making money. Tell them straight up and be firm. Be like, hey, I can't do it, and that's what people need. Don't be like, oh, I'll try to do it, then you lie to them, then they get an unexpected price. Just be straight up.
Right.
So that's how I believe, being the next, GOAT or the next Sean or the next whoever that's promoting honesty and still advocating for them to make money. You just got to be transparent up front.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm going to let you get back to running your 19,000 businesses that you're involved in. I'm just playing, but I do want to take a minute and say thank you. You've been a great influence with me. You showed me a lot about, the tech side of things and the affiliate marketing side of it. I know I lean on you a little bit. So sometimes you get a 1 a.m. text from me or something like that. Hey, dude, what about this? Or how's this work? So I really appreciate you being willing to share your knowledge. And, I definitely count you as a friend, so I'm happy that we were able to spend time today. You took time out of your day. What would you leave us with if you had to all the car guys out there, what's the one thing that you want people to take from a meeting with Yusuf? What's the one thing you would want to leave them with?
I think the one thing I'll leave people with is just, remove pride and, just any ignorance or arrogance you have, and just be the most genuine person you can be. And I'm going to say a hot take, Sean, because I forgot to say this earlier. I believe an independent car dealer or car salesman will rock sales over any franchise salesperson. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I think being just be versatile, like you said, like know the product, know what you get with the credit or the profile of the customer, and then just put them in something that that will work for them. Don't oversell anything, don't undersell anything, and that's what I want to leave with people. And is think of him as if it's your mom or your dad. I know some people would sell their mom and dad, but I'm saying in general, we want to take to our family, but just leave with that. And I think, and I appreciate you, Sean, because not only that, I've seen the help that you've done for people and how it's, people tag you in random videos, and I see on my For You page, Sean Man really saved me from this, or this video that Sean did has allowed me to put in perspective what I'm going to pay for a car. I'm going to prioritize my credit thing. So even if it's not legacy with your kids, Sean, you're giving yourself legacy through other means and other channels. So that's very admirable, and I applaud you for that. And I hope you continue to grow that way.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I will. I'll let you go. I know you and I will be in touch, and we'll talk more about this. But thank you for coming on here. Obviously, this podcast is a little bit new. I'm still feeling out the glitches, but to have somebody like you on here so early is honestly an honor for me. So thank you again for your time, and we'll definitely be in touch. But if you like this podcast, give me a like, give me a share, give me a follow, give me a download, give me a subscribe, give me something, guys. Give
them just give them $1. Just send them $1.
Or just cash at me $1. No. But, give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. If you like this podcast, again, thank you to Credit Saint, our sponsor. If you have credit issues, they are the absolute go-to people in the country. Get your score up so you can buy a car from Yusuf and have a nice 700 credit score, so he doesn't have to worry about which bank he can get you approved through. So, but we're signing off from the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast. Yusuf, thank you so much.
Sean, thank you. It was an honor.
All right. Love you, brother.
That's our show for today, boys and girls. Thanks for visiting us on the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast. Like, share, subscribe, download, tell your friends. Again, I don't care how you get out there. Just help a brother out. Want to say thank you once again to our guests for today, as well as our main sponsor, Credit Saint. Make sure you see us next time with me, Goat for Real 216, on the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast. Deuces.